Everybody breathe. We've been working this month on self-love. Let me remind you yet again, has everybody been doing this homework?
Yeah.
This side always fares better than this side. I don't know what it is. Okay. We talked about self-love. We talked about the very first Sunday about how to nurture oneself versus comfort, how to feed yourself in various ways, and we've been conscious about that. Patrick took us again on the idea of love being the unrestrained expression of God. We're very conscious of that. Last week we talked about being self and centered, how we can align with our divinity, our higher self, and get the mind, the spirit, the emotions, everything going in the same direction, how powerful that feels. How did we do this week?
Good.
I'm very happy. I tripped over my feet all week. I was very aware of every piece of ground I got to experience. Staying centered and staying self-focused can be quite challenging when you have expectations of yourself. So it was very interesting. I did get to have a little bit of challenge, and I became aware of all the outer requirements that I have placed upon myself. Because those outer requirements tend to supersede that moment where I check with guidance. Because I've already made a commitment. So I got to experience that one extremely well. All right. This brings us to today. I know who I am in the world. Do you? When we come into the world, even as children, we are taught to identify ourselves, even with our age. That's the first thing we teach children. How old are you? I'm 3, I'm 4, I'm 5. By hearing the age of a child, we know what process they're going through. Where are you in the world? How old are you? Okay, even today, how old are you? We know kind of where you are processing as a being on this planet. Do you realize that's still in you? Yeah, it's still in you. We also, as we grow up, we are taught to identify with our jobs or our professions, which could be a mom, could be the job that you do. It's really how are you investing your energy in the world. So who am I in the world becomes now how am I investing my energy in the world. Do you understand that? Yeah. Do you understand that you relate to that? Okay. And the third thing is we identify with our matter. How am I living in the world? How is this energy supporting me? Am I struggling in my matter? Am I prosperous in my matter? Do you understand? Okay. So the process, the investment, and what we have to show for it. Those three things are typically how we still identify ourselves in the world. Do you realize that? Am I processing? What do I have to show for my investments, and how am I investing my energy? Subconsciously, they govern all of us. So, do we see love in any of these things? No, it's really not about love, is it? So, in Jesus' time, when he came, and he's the one that we seek to follow, he's the one that was able to embody that beautiful love of God. In Jesus' time, he came into a world where bribery was the basis of economy. Everybody bribed everybody to get what they needed. The poor even had to bribe the judges in order to get a favorable dose of justice. That's how it was. There were two classes. There were the rich and there were the poor. That's how it was. So there was not a lot of shifting in matter, but there was a lot of identity through matter. See? All right. It was also a time when people were very much labeled by who they were. You were born into a status and you maintained that status. Okay? But when Jesus saw a man, what do you think he looked at? He looked at the energy. He could see, what are they doing? Do they have light? Are they blocked? Is there health? Is there not health? He was never looking at what favor could I get from this man. Yet that was the way of life. Seeding so you get future favors. He looked at the energy of the man, not what class he belonged to. And he helped everybody. Now, the stories that we've inherited in the New Testament are the stories about the people he should not have helped. He should not have helped a Samaritan. It was against their laws that he should reach out to them. It was against the laws that he should reach out to Romans. It was against the laws that he should reach out to prostitutes. It was against the laws that he should reach out to tax collectors. All of the stories of healing that we have are all about those people that he should not have reached out to, but he did. And the reason they kept those stories was so that he could begin to break down these perceptions of barriers of who you are in the world. Do you understand? But there are a whole hunk of stories that didn't get recorded because he was working with the regular Jewish people. The moms, the babies, the priests, the wealthy. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to him who he worked for. It didn't matter to him who he healed. But you see the stories, and if you read it, the stories that were maintained were the stories that shook the very core of life at that time. They didn't care that he healed a nice Jewish woman. That's good. That's good. We're not going to tell that story. We're going to tell every time he broke a law. When he healed on Sunday, we'll tell that story. We'll heal every time he broke a law, we'll tell that story. He was trying, and the people of the time were trying to break up the preconceived ideas that we are caught in the image of the world. His message was, you are each and every one of you children of God. You are each and every one of you divine light. And it does not matter who you are. God's love is available to you. Everybody take a breath. Does this make sense to you? All right. So, everyone was worthy of God's love. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, why aren't you worthy of God's love?
I am.
Oh, we've got a couple. But even those that believe they are have moments when they do not know it. If I would say to you, how are you in your process? How are you in your investments? And how are you in your material world? If you were to grade yourself, like a child gets a grade in school, I would venture to guess that I would get more C's than A's. If I said to grade yourself right now, how are you in your process? How are you in the material world? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you realize you are God's child, ever loved and ever abundant, what would those grades look like? They'd be A's all the way down. But we have this inner thing, we have this thing within us that keeps us focused back on this idea that the world around us tells us who we are. The very thing he was trying to break is still something we are dealing with. We are energy. Okay. When we look at ourselves with our worldly eyes, we miss us. Have you ever not thought somebody was absolutely wonderful? Just wonderful. And they're having a very, very difficult time, and they're tearing themselves down. And you look at them and you say, how could you even think that about yourself? Look at all the good stuff you've done over here. And you can't reach them? They just will not go with you? And you look at them and you wonder, what is wrong with this person? They're negating all of their goodness for a moment when they're off-center. How many of you don't do that? Okay. Not one hand went up. And that's the truth. We all do it. We negate our very essence, our goodness, when we move into viewing ourselves through the mortal eyes. If I am lost, and I used to do this all the time, if I am lost driving around, and I'm feeling centered with God, I used to always just feel, yeah, God is with me. I must need to be taking the light down these strange little roads I'm driving. They must need the light. I'm just taking the light. Have you ever experienced that? You're just aglow because you're one with God. But if I have an appointment to get to, and I'm on an agenda, and I am driving, and I get off my path, and I don't know where I am, then my will comes in, and my will says, God, use that God energy to get me there. And I start focusing and being uncomfortable and not trusting. And am I looking at the light I'm giving to my brothers and sisters? No, I'm on the wrong road. This is your road, this is not my road. It's that fast. We can shift that fast to knowing that we are so centered and to being aggravated because we have given ourselves an agenda, an expectation. We are no longer that love that flows without restriction. We are now attached to this world. And when we get attached to the world, we judge ourselves by the world. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. If I could always see my energy, I would act differently. And no matter where we are in our journey, no matter where we are in our process, no matter where we are in our investments, the universe is seeking to support us energetically. If I could see myself as energy, I would not only see who I am and what I am doing, I would also see all of the people who are coming to support that. I would see all of the assets, all of the beautiful light that's coming to help me. We've been there for moments, haven't we? When we can sense that. So when I was speaking with Spirit, I wanted to read this Divine Dip in the Quiet Mind, page 45 in this book, because I used to get it all the time. And when I was talking with Spirit about the service, they reminded me, you used to get that all the time. So it says, whatever the conditions, you can still the storm and know tranquility. You long to become aware of a life that is free, holy, happy, healthy, and joyous. We give you pointers. First, tranquility of spirit. When you allow things to disturb you, all the fine threads of color and light attached to your soul from the source of your life become tangled and jangled. And in truth, you cross the wires. Then you wonder why things are so difficult. Why do you think I got this all the time? Keep your line of contact clear. Be tranquil and serene. A master is never perturbed. And when I would get it, when I would divine dip for myself, I would go, great. I shall not be perturbed. We have a beautiful light coming through us, and because we have an agenda that we cannot make happen, we twist the fine energies of that light. And then it does not feel like we are connected any longer. It feels more challenged. So when I was asking Spirit, well, who are we in the world? I know who I am in the world. This is what I was told. How you feel when you put your head on the bed at night is a measure of who you are in the world. If you are worried when you put your head on the bed at night, you are worry in the world. Yay! If you're anger, then you're anger in the world. If you feel peaceful when you put your head down, you're peace in the world. What you take and who you are to yourself is what you take out into the world. And we have all known those beautiful days where we put our little wee head on the pillow and we feel fabulous. You know, and it was the best day in the world and we didn't create it and we didn't force it. We just experienced it. And we just feel so alive, you know. And then we have those days where we can't shut off the brain of all the things that we have to do. We have to do this and we have to do that. And what are we in the world then? Workaholic? Perhaps. The world has more power than we have, perhaps. But I want you to think about that. If we can just remember that one thing. When you go to bed tonight, who have you been in the world today? And feel that energy. I know who I am in the world. I want to be fulfilled. I want to be happy when I put my head down. I don't want to be fear-based. I don't want to be afraid. I want to be happy. I want to be content. I want to be able to look at my little wee room and say, I love everything about this room. I love my life. And that is who I am in the world. Our goal for me should be not who I know who I am in the world, but I love who I am in the world. I love who I am in the world. And how we achieve that is by learning to be love in the world. Taking the agendas away. Taking the agendas away and learning just to be love. So easy for me to say. So easy. Can we do that? Do you want to love who you are in the world?
Yes.
So, letting yourself be love. And when you are love, you are the unrestricted flow that you even don't understand. So I wanted to share a little story with you. Ready? Every year at InnerQuest, we clean out our files. And we have client files, people that come in for healings, people that come in for readings or counseling, so we keep their files. With notes, just while we're working with them. If I have not seen someone for a couple of years, we put their file in that year's box that as we're cleaning them out, and then we store them for the 7 years required by law, and then we release them. And once they're stored, they're pretty much in the attic till they're gone. So, every year I go through the client files because I'm the one that releases the client files. And I remember in the beginning, in our early years, there was one file, and we were releasing files, and Patrick and I would do it together. And there was one lady's file, her name is Charlene. And he would say, Cindy, you haven't seen her in years. We need to release Charlene's file. And I would say, Patrick, no, I can't let her file go. And he would say to me, why? And I said, I don't know. I do not know, but I can't let her file go. Well, he would fight me every year. Come on, it's taking up space. We need to let it go. No, we're keeping her file. Bonnie came on board. Bonnie said the same thing. Why are you keeping that old file? And I said, I do not know. And Patrick said, Bonnie, don't fight her. So anyway, we did the cleaning out of the files this year, and I had this little ping. I knew it was time to let Charlene go. But I didn't pull her. I just knew it was time. So a couple of weeks ago, it was a Friday afternoon. I was the last one here. Nobody else was here. I was by myself. And I knew it was time to get out her file. Spirit was just with me. So I went to the cabinet, I got her file out. And I thought, why have I kept this file all these years? I don't know. And I pulled it out. She'd written me some little letters. She'd moved away. And I read all her little letters. They were sweet. And I read all her information. I held the file. It's like, why have I kept this? I don't know. I know it's time to let it go. And I knew where she moved to. So I Googled her. And I found this girl who looked younger than the girl I taught. I had trained her in Reiki, taken her from first through masters. And she was a social worker, this girl I found. I went, well, I don't know. So I Googled again, and there she came up as a Reiki master, but it was the same picture. It was that same young girl. And there was a phone number. So I called her. I called the number and I said, is it Charlene? And she said very cautiously, you know how you can feel, yes. I said, this is Cindy Fuller from Atlanta. Caution. Did I initiate you into Reiki many years ago? Oh my God! She remembered and her energy opened. And I said, Charlene, this is really strange that I'm calling you because I haven't talked to you in so long. But every year I release the client's files. And I have not been able to let your file go all these years. I said, I look at it every year and I just can't let it go, and I just kept it in the file. And so this year, Charlene, I'm letting you go. So I pulled your file out, I read all your sweet little letters that you sent to me back in the day, and I don't know why I've kept your file. But I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to reach out and let you know I'm letting you go. And she said, I know why you kept my file. She said that when she left and moved, that she had turned away from her metaphysics. She'd gone back to school and gotten her master's and gone into social work. And she had worked for many years out in the world. And something had happened about 3 years ago where her life awakening had shifted again. And she turned back to her Reiki training and back to her metaphysics. And she started to do what she had been trained to do by me. And she said, Cindy, I am a teacher in the world. I teach Reiki in Israel, in South Africa, in Croatia, in Germany, in Scotland. I'm all over the world, and that's because of what you gave me. And that's why you kept my file. Because it didn't happen until 3 years ago that I turned back. And I said, oh, I was so proud of her, I was so happy, and I invited her to come to church if she's ever in Atlanta, and then just let the connection go. And I said, well, I'm letting you go right now. And she said, okay. So I went back to where I have all the list of the Reiki masters on my wall, and I started to pray. And I blessed every one of them, because I felt like a Reiki grandma. I have all these grandkids all over the world, and who knows how many other Reiki grandkids I've got out there because of the masters that I taught that are taking it out into the world. And I just felt overwhelmed by the knowing that energy kept flowing. It was just amazing to me. And I went back to the desk to finally let that file go. And I wasn't going to put it in a box and keep it. I was going to just gently rip it up, put it in the recycle. And before I did, Spirit said, check the date. I had kept her file for over 18 years. Every year for over 18 years, I had looked at her file. And every year I said, I can't let her go. I can't let her go. I had no idea why. I had no idea why, as these two can attest. But that energy connection was her gift. Our gift to her, InnerQuest gifts to her, my gift to her. And I share that with you for two reasons. Number one, you do not know how many energy grandkids you have out there. How many good things that you do as an energy being that is working out in the world today that you cannot see to measure your value by. Every kind thing that you do, every gift of love that you share, you cannot measure your value by that because you do not get to see it as it vibrates out into the world. And I also share this because I know somewhere in this world, someone has your file. Someone has a file that they are holding for you. A connection of hope and support and love for who you are, for who you will be, for who you are as a spirit. And not only do they hold your file, but you also hold the files of others. We are so connected in love. Yet when we look at those three questions, how am I processing? What do I have to show for it? What am I investing? We miss us. We miss us. Do you know what I'm saying? We miss us. Every single person in this room, no matter what your job in the world is, right now in this moment, you should say, I am exactly where I need to be right now in this moment for my soul. The energy I am experiencing is perfect for me, and I will yield to that energy taking me to greater love. And I will not measure my value by my address or my occupation. I will trust that the energy is flowing from me, multiplying and growing. Can you feel that? If we as metaphysical Christians could truly know who we are in the world, we could impact. But it does require the step that Cindy still wrestles with. Let go of the expectations and just let love flow. Great, I'm a planner, I can't help myself. I've got a Capricorn moon and I'll plan until I'm crossing over. So I can plan, but I don't have to expect it to be. I can plan and say, God, let the love flow through me now, however you need it to be. Do you see? We are energy beings. I am an energy being. Can you say that with me? I am an energy being. And my energy helps the world.
And my energy helps the world.
All right, let's go with it. And I would ask each one of you just to begin to relax in your chair and see that beautiful column of light coming over you. And welcome that beautiful food of God love. Let it begin to pour through you now. Our Father, our Mother God, I ask that your light fill each one. I ask that that essence of honor and peace move through each one of your children in this moment. Let them feel how precious their life is, how important their being is on this planet, and how valuable they are to the whole. And as you feel and allow this beautiful love to move through you, just in your heart say, I am valuable to the whole. I may have muddled myself to this moment, but I will fly beyond it. Because I will see myself as God's child. Breathe. Feel the core of your heart awake. This I know. I am God's expression of love. And as you feel that I am God's expression of love, let it begin to move out into your world. Imagine a beautiful wave of your light moving into your world. I am God's expression of divine love. And feel all the agendas gently drop to the ground. In this moment, all is well. There's only love. And just feel this beautiful peace. And if there is anything in your life that you are dealing with that is challenging, I want you to ask now that the breath of God move through this issue. If there's any issue you feel overwhelmed by, ask that the breath of God move through this now. The beautiful, healing, loving breath of God now move through all that I am dealing with. And I'm at peace. Feel the love vibrating. Feel your heart open. And just gently become aware, just gently, of how your beautiful light has affected the earth. You may see people's faces coming towards you. You may see energy of harmony and accomplishment. Whatever you see, just ask to see how my energy has affected the earth. And know that it is good. It is good. I love who I am in the world. I love who I am in the world. I love who I am in the world. Father, Mother God, I ask that your light completely enfold, engulf, and make harmonious the thoughts and emotions and the energy patterns of each one. We surrender to that divine light. We surrender to the greater path. And we thank you that we are with you always. Feel your love for Jesus the Christ, who shows us that path in every moment. Feel your love for your Father and Mother. And feel your love for self. I am safe in the heart of God, and this world is in God's heart. Breathe. Let your focus gently come back into this room. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. In our service work as a church, we move on to many different topics. We did success in January, self-love in February, and we're going to rededicate and talk about new opportunities in March. But I hope that as we walk, that we never forget the value of every thought and every word and every deed. It is you expressing God love. You are important. There's nobody on this planet like you. Nobody. Period. It's you. This is your opportunity to really know Spirit in a very unique way. Say, yeah, God.
Yeah.